Hey everyone, it's Lawrence here from Mango Map. Welcome to today's video. Now, today I'm going to be talking about the most common remote working hacks, debunked, okay? Now, we've been a remote working company for 2 years, and very recently I've been seeing a lot of remote tips on places like LinkedIn, blogs, all across social media, really, that we found actually don't work. So I just wanted to create a video just to go through that and to provide you with some tips that actually do work at the end. Okay, so let's just get into this straight away. And I'm just going to give you the list and then I'll explain later why I believe these are myths. Okay, so I'm sure you've seen these all before. Wear work clothes at home. Okay, aim for a set number of hours each day. Hydration seems to be a really popular remote working tip. Scheduling exercise. Now, I exercise every day. I'm not against exercise. I'm just talking about it in terms of a remote working tip. Okay, same goes for music. And number 6 is work is not fun anyway. There seems to be on some posts and some people putting across the idea that if you're struggling at the moment with your remote workflows and you're finding it hard to get motivated, it's well, work's not fun anyway, so get on with it. I don't agree with that at all. I think you can find a great value and meaning in your work, but I will go into that in more detail later. Okay, so why do I think these are myths? I mean, these are everywhere. It seems to be every blog post seems to have these tips in. So this is why I think they're myths. They're more coping strategies, tips, mechanisms. They're not fundamentally remote working related. So they won't address your central problem if you're currently finding it difficult transitioning to a remote work setting, okay? They won't fix a remote workflow that's broken, right? And more importantly, many of these tips, it's appearing to try and recreate the office at home, okay? Now, these are all, in my view, red flags, and you should treat them as such. If attempts at comfort or recreating the office at home are a signal, okay? And having to go to such lengths signifies there's something wrong on a deeper level with your remote work setup, okay? The end result of all this is that if you focus on coping mechanisms and taking what you know from the office and putting it into your home, you actually miss all of the advantages of remote working, and you get all of the disadvantages of the more traditional office-based setting. So why is that? So I'm gonna compare office versus remote now and just underscore what I mean. So let's look at an office worker. So an average office worker is productive for less than 3 hours a day. You stick a commute time of say 30 minutes to 2 hours either end of the day. Lots of distractions, meetings, noise. Add into that, expensive office space and highly energy intensive in moving, tens of millions of people around from their home to their work back home every day. It's highly energy intensive. And when you compare that to a remote worker, now the stat that I was able to find was 16.8 more work days per year per worker. Now I think that's on the very low end. I think you can actually double your productivity, especially if average office productivity is 3 hours a day. I think you can double that as a remote worker, but let's take 16.8, okay? Let's extrapolate that out across 100 employees at a fairly average size company. And if you extrapolate that out, it's 1,680 days of additional productivity versus an office-based rival. So if your big rival is office-based and you're remote, by the end of the year, you're almost 4 years ahead in terms of productivity. So who's going to win? Okay. Compound that with no commute time, far less energy intensive, and a happier workforce. I was able to find a 22% to sort of quantify that. I think that's on the low end from what I've seen personally over the past couple of years and having read into this quite a lot and being quite passionate about it. So therefore, I think the ultimate question is, why would you recreate the office, the old paradigm that's less effective and less productive and not advantage from this new paradigm, okay, of remote? So what can you do to reap the benefit, to actually reap the benefits of remote working. So I think the overall umbrella statement of this video is embrace remote, okay? And realize that it's a different paradigm, and therefore an invitation to overhaul what you've been doing, say, for the past 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20 years. It's an invitation to look at that and go, is this highly valuable? Could we be doing better? And in return, you'll get more freedom to live, recruit from wherever, less energy usage, exponential increases in productivity, more time with family, happier employees. The list goes on, really. It's not for everybody, but I think that what we're currently experiencing will be seen as an inflection point where people realize how much more effective remote working can be, as long as you've got the right infrastructure in place. So talking of infrastructure, what are the top 3 ways of actionable things that you can implement today to help you out? Now, I'm going to put a link in the description to a more detailed video on this. I'm just going to recap here. But number 1 is centralized planning with cloud-based tools. Okay. Now, Mango is a cloud-based tool, can be accessed by anyone from anywhere. You can also put private permissions on. But let's move away from Mango. Let's do a more generalized example and look at something like Trello or Jira. And I'm sure there's other alternatives from the bigger companies like Microsoft, etc. If you centralize planning in one place where all of the workflows are managed in different swim lanes and everyone can access it, see what everyone else is doing, it forces that team ethic. It provides a place where if you get stuck and you don't know what you're doing, you just go back there and check it. As long as it's well defined between you and your manager, you can then get on with it. Sometimes you forget what you're doing and then you go back and go, oh, that's it, that's my task. You can break down larger pieces of work into smaller, manageable, bite-sized pieces. This really is the number 1 way to do this. It's just to centralize that planning on a digital platform. Okay. Number 2, prioritize output over hours worked and then attach a metric. Okay. So traditionally, when you sign a work contract, it says you are contracted to work 40 hours per week, 8 hours per day, etc. So we've already seen that in terms of worker productivity in an office, it's less than 3, it's not 8. So how do you actually get more productivity? In our view, prioritize output. Now you can attach output and a metric to every single person at an organization, okay? Sales, number of leads processed, number of people put through to the next stage of the sales process, revenue. Same goes for marketing. How many qualified leads are you putting through? How many followers on social? You could attach it to HR, finance. You can attach it to anyone, because ultimately, if a team doesn't provide any value, then why are they at the organization? So you just find out what that value is, measure it, and then measure the output, not the hours worked. Okay, it's a real boost to productivity. And that leads to number 3, which is take the time to define work and ensure it has value and meaning, which sort of relates to point 2. Find out what that value is and measure it. Okay. If someone is working on something and they're struggling and their motivation is down, things like hydration, as I previously mentioned, things like hydration and music are not really going to address the fundamental problem. If you're in that situation, look at your work and ask, is it well defined? Is it on a centralized platform where I can access it? Have I written down and broken it down to subtasks? I know exactly what I'm doing. I can see where it fits in the organization, where it fits in the team. And if that's correct and you've done all that, then you need to look at it. Does it actually have any meaning to me or to the organization? Because if it doesn't have any meaning to you, it's unlikely that it will to your organization, and therefore you shouldn't be working on it anyway. Okay. So there's three tips, 3 actionable items that you can take and implement today to really help you fix broken remote workflows. So I'm going to recap now, and I can say you can't be effective remotely through coping tips or recreating the office at home. And I think I made that point very clearly. However, you can address the fundamentals and embrace remote work for what it is, and then reap all the benefits by doing that. And then you can focus on your daily routine, your exercise, scheduling that exercise in the morning, for example, staying hydrated, putting your favorite songs on to keep you going through meaningful work and not replacing it. Okay, so that's the fundamental difference that I wanted to impart in this video. This might be slightly controversial because these tips are so popular and so common everywhere. So please do let me know in the comments below what you thought of this video, if it was enlightening, if you agree, if you disagree. Please also consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. We're going to be putting out a lot of content over the next couple of months. Well, actually, going forward, we're putting out a lot of content on GIS, productivity, remote working, franchising, sales, territory mapping. So yeah, please subscribe to stay informed of that, and then ring the little bell as well so you get a notification. Would be great. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I will be speaking to you soon. Thank you.